Safe swaddling. Hip dysplasia is the most common hip disorder in babies. The hip is a ball and socket joint, and normally the ball or femoral head sits securely in the socket or acetabulum. Hip dysplasia is when a baby's hip joint is abnormally loose. This means the ball moves around too much in the socket, or can even be completely out of the socket. Not a lot of people know this, but incorrect swaddling is a big risk factor for hip dysplasia. When your baby finally arrives, there's so much to learn on the fly, and it can be quite overwhelming. As they say, babies don't come with manuals. So at I'm a Hippie, we want to make sure you know the essentials when it comes to your baby's hip health. The safest and recommended way to put your baby down to sleep is on their back using a sleep sack, like this. Be sure to choose the right-sized sleep sack for your baby so that it fits properly around the neck and armholes. A sleep sack that is too large or loose can be a hazard. Wider and long sleep sack designs allow your baby's legs to bend for healthy hip development. We realize that not everyone has access to a sleep sack. If you don't have one and you choose to use a blanket to wrap or bundle your baby, here are some tips to do this safely. Wrap your baby in a blanket from the shoulder down while ensuring that the hands and arms are left free. Make sure that the blanket is not wrapped too tightly. You should be able to fit 2 fingers between the blanket and your baby's chest. For hip-healthy bundling, you should also ensure that the blanket is not wrapped too tightly around the legs and hips. Your baby should be able to bend and move their legs without restriction. If it is important for you to swaddle your baby for traditional or cultural reasons, you can still do so. However, we have some suggestions for hip-healthy, safer swaddling. There was a time when parents were told to swaddle their newborn babies as tight as a burrito. This was so that the newborn would feel as snug and cozy as they did in the mother's womb. This, unfortunately, is not good for your baby's hip health. To ensure hip-healthy, safer swaddling, make sure that the hips and legs are not wrapped too tightly. It is important to leave enough room so that the legs can bend and move without restriction. So here's how to practice hip-healthy, safer swaddling with a lightweight receiving blanket. Arrange the blanket in diamond shape and fold back the top point of the blanket to create a straight edge. Place the baby in the center with the shoulders just below the fold. Bring the baby's hands together over their chest. Pull the blanket securely across the baby's arms and chest. Tuck the blanket under the left side of the baby. Pull the other side of the blanket securely across the baby. Tuck the blanket under the right side of the baby. With enough room for the hips to move, loosely twist or fold the bottom end of the blanket behind the baby. The baby should be able to freely move the hips and bend the legs up and out. Don't worry if it's not perfect. The most important things to remember are to make sure you're not wrapping too tightly or too loosely, that the blanket could move or cover your baby's face, and that your baby's legs can bend and move freely and comfortably. If you choose to either bundle or swaddle your baby, it's important to stop once your baby shows signs of rolling over or if they are able to move the blanket themselves. Remember to take breaks from bundling or swaddling when you feed your baby. Regardless of how you choose to put your baby to sleep, whether using a sleep sack, bundling, or swaddling, make sure to put your baby down to sleep on their back. The sleep sack or blanket should be lightweight so that your baby does not get too hot. Monitor your baby for signs of overheating or sweating, and remove the sleep sack or blanket as necessary. Having a baby is such a special milestone. Don't let all the details overwhelm you. We're here for you if you have questions about your baby's hip health. Visit our website, imahippie.org, or check out our community forum. But don't forget, it's important that you get your baby's hips checked and that you discuss with your doctor or midwife about your baby's hip health.